Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for November 24th, 2019. I had a really good reading week considering I worked a lot of overtime and I really was tired most of the days. But audiobooks helped me through that I did during my drive to and from work. And then I read quite a bit of books. I mean, they're not huge books, but I still finished 4 altogether this week. And then I'll show you a 5th one I just paged through last night. That was fun. And then I'll talk about the books that I'm currently reading, and then what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So this week is the Thanksgiving holiday for us in the U.S. So I do have Thursday off and I have Friday off. I had to take it because we weren't going to get paid. We weren't going to be there, and we don't get paid for that for Friday. So I took a vacation day. So I get a nice 4-day weekend. That means I get a couple of days to finish off my nano writing, which I'm right on track. I am right on track, except for today, because I haven't written today yet. So I'm doing really well considering, even though my plot has completely gone away, I'm not writing on my original idea. I'm just writing every day. I sit down at my computer and I just write. And I don't care what I'm writing. I write a new story almost every day. And it's fun. Anyway, so that's my nano update. Again, I'm doing National Novel Writing Month, so if you're wondering, I need to get 50,000 by end of Saturday. We're supposed to hit 40,000 today. I need only 1,100 words today to be on track. So, because I was a little bit ahead yesterday, so I did a lot of writing to catch up, because again, I had a busy week. Okay, so that's my update on Nano. Anyway, but I still read quite a bit, and I'm fairly impressed with myself that I got through so much. So anyway, so I'll talk about these books, and then I'll talk about what I'm in the middle of, and then what I think I'm going to read. So the first thing is I finished Eager, The Surprising Secret Life of Beavers and Why They Matter by Ben Goldfarb. I listened to this on audio by Will Danron, I think his name is. Anyway, it was a really good audiobook. Really easy to listen to. This was such a fun. I'm reading my I Don't Give a Damn t-shirt. Anyway. Anyway. See the damn how it's spelled? Anyway, sorry. So this book was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I learned so much about beavers and what they actually do in an environment, and it was really interesting to see it in different areas of our country, as well as in there's some in Canada and some and also in England and Scotland. So it was really interesting to see all that. I'm really more of an awareness, which is again funny because we are the Beaver state. Sorry, my brain today. The Beaver state here, and I grew up in Corvallis, which is, you know, Oregon State Beavers, except we don't have as many beavers as I would think we need, because it's really interesting what they can do to the landscape and save water and stuff and make environments where a lot of other animals can thrive. It was really fascinating, and I'm glad I read this. Again, I don't read a lot of nature nonfiction. It's not something I automatically grab. So one thing about Nonfiction November, every year I've picked up at least one nature book that I wouldn't have picked up normally, that I just wouldn't have heard about, and I'm glad that this year this is the one I picked up. I was really really informed about stuff, and I thought it was a really well done. So I did like that. I picked up a couple of hard books this week as well. So the first one I did pick up being Mortal by Atul Gawande. This is medicine and what matters in the end. And I knew that this was about end-of-life medicine, or thinking about stuff when people have terminal cancers or just old age. They're just getting up there in years. And the choices people have to make in living situations with their families, either in a facility or not, and what kind of facility, and then also like terminal cancers and being prepared for the end, and what steps need to be thought of and what questions you need to ask. And this was really powerful, and I now know why so many people have said that this is a great read, and I do agree. I think I put this off because, again, my grandparents, well, I lost my grandfather this year at 101, and I was going to read this last year. I mean, he was getting up there. My grandmother, she just turned 96. So I was, I was putting this kind of off, I admit it. But I figured that I really did need to read this and to get more out of it. And I think it was really eye-opening on the perspective of taking more perspective of what my grandparents needed. And I realize now some of the things that they would push back on us on. I didn't understand why they would want certain things a certain way. And I don't mean anything specific, just it's a control thing, and it's for their home environment, even if they were in assisted living. And I thought this was really good about showing that it's not just about safety. You have to also look at quality of life. And I thought that was the biggest thing for me that I got out of that, at least in most of this, is that it really is your quality of life, not that you're going to live forever, because you're not, but at least that you can enjoy that time that you have, and that looking at those questions of how you can do that with all that what might be going on in your medical history or your life. I found this really thought-provoking, and definitely has me asking a few questions of things and wanting to know, it's hopefully many, many years in the future, but thinking about what my parents might want and their decisions on that, because I don't actually know, and then maybe having write up what I want just in case, and kind of thing. It was such thought-provoking. And again, I do have a 96-year-old grandmother. All my other grandparents have now passed, but she is in an assisted living, and we just made some changes. We moved her just recently, so now I'm going to be asking her how she's doing a little bit differently than I may have before. So I really did like this book for that. I mean, they have a couple questions here to get you started if you're in that kind of a situation or stuff. I found it so thoughtful, and I'm so glad I read it. I mean, it was a phenomenal book, and I definitely want to pick up more by him about other things about his medical stuff, but this was a wonderful book, and I would recommend it just because you're human, and we really should think about these things. And again, I've read a lot of Caitlin Doherty as well recently, which is talking about death, and I think I'm not trying to be morbid. It's more of, I don't want to be one of those people who it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen, because it's going to happen. So anyway, I just wanted to put that. I really, really enjoyed that, and I thought I got so much out of that. I'm so glad that I finally made myself read that. Then after that, I picked up Bleecker House by Nell Stevens, Chasing My Novel to the End of the World. So I read Bleecker House in October. So somebody had mentioned this as kind of a companion to that, as somebody who was talking about it. But I found that this really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I did know that this was about MFA student who gets a global fellowship where she gets to go anywhere in the world for 3 months to write her novel on the scholarship thing. And so most people choose Paris, or they go to Japan or somewhere else, they go somewhere exotic, somewhere they've never been and they want to experience. And she decides she wants to be alone. So she picks Bleecker Island down in the Falklands. And I had to actually look it up on a map. I didn't actually know exactly where the Falklands was. It was one of those things where I've heard the name, but I didn't know where it was. So I was kind of surprised at how far south that was. I was like, oh, that's a lot. And then she goes during their winter months, which was kind of ridiculous because it was cold and snowy and stuff. Anyway, but so it's her journey down there and her decisions, and then it kind of flashes on some, because again, it's more memoir than anything. It's definitely a memoir. What am I talking? It's a memoir anyway, but it's more talking about her, how she got to that point of choosing to go do that, and then how it went while she was there. Now, there were parts of this I really enjoyed. I liked her talking about not knowing what to do, to being in her mid-20s and not really knowing what she wanted, and having failed relationships, and not knowing if she made the right decisions on things, and then, or she made the right decision but it was a hard one, kind of thing. And then talking about her writing and how the criticism she was giving in her class by some of her teachers, or her, and I totally get that whole, critiquing your writing, and so there were some really good parts of this. And again, I really liked all the parts when she was on Bleecker Island and what she went through, to experience that with her. What I what dropped this from probably would have been a good solid 4 read for me, a 4-star, was she did insert some of her writing, and the stuff that was on the novel that she was working on while she was on Bleecker Island, I didn't mind that because it was connected to Bleecker Island. And so I kind of got that. It was a couple short stories that were thrown in that she had mentioned that she had written for her classes, and I hated them. Like, I mean, again, you have to understand, I'm not a big short story reader anyway. I don't particularly care for short stories because I don't feel like the point gets across enough. I guess I want more. I always want more when it's a short story. But these ones I didn't even like. Like, they were written well, it wasn't like that, but I hated all the circumstances or the characters that were in the story. I had no connection to them whatsoever. And I actually skipped over the last one because I was like, I am not doing another one of these. Because I read 2 of them. Kinda. I mean, I read them, but I was like, what is this? Like, I don't know. I don't want to, like, I don't know. I know she's written another book like this, but about Elizabeth Gaskell. I did look at that at one point, and I did not pick it up because I don't feel like I've read enough Elizabeth Gaskell to read her, because I would not recommend this book if you have not read Bleak House. So I picked this up because of Bleak House, because she took a copy of Bleak House with her. It was the one physical book she took with her for her 3 months there. And we don't really talk about Bleak House except for one sentence early in the book. And then 126 pages later, we finally talk about the book. Bleecker House is like, I'm Bleak House. I'm sorry. I'm getting the Bleecker. Okay, so Bleak House. She talks about Bleak House like over halfway through the book. And I'm like, what? Isn't this supposed to be like connecting somehow? So that didn't work for me. And then she spoils like so much of Bleak House. Do not read this if you have not read Bleak House. I'm telling you, because I would have been upset because I have not, I just read Bleak House, so I totally got all of what she was saying, but also I'm like, dude, that's super spoily. Don't tell. Anyway, I'm bad about that. Like, I do not want to be spoiled for things. Like, I mean, I get with classics, a lot of times it's going to happen, and I know things about some classics, again, it's just because they're in the vernacular, like people know about them, they talk about them, I get that. But what she just like spells it out, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Anyway, that bothered me too. Anyway, but really overall, it was really her extra stories in here that had nothing to do with her journey, with Bleak House, with Bleecker Island, with her discovery. It was just some of her writing thrown in to add pages to this, and I didn't enjoy that. So I dropped it to a 3. I still enjoyed a lot of this. It's just I was kind of clearly I was upset about a couple of things on that. I don't know. If you guys have read it, let me know if I'm just the only one who was like, what is this in the middle of this story about her on an island, and then anyway, I did not like those stories. Anyway, and then I picked up Good Talk by Mira Jacob, a memoir in conversations. And I picked this up just kind of on a whim because I knew, I'm pretty sure they're Reading Women. This is on their nonfiction list. And I had seen it around, like other people talked about it and been, oh, it's fantastic. This was fantastic. I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did. And enjoy is the wrong word. I got a lot out of this. This was a great perspective on looking at somebody who grew up in the U.S. and had to deal with stuff like, being not thought of as American, even though she grew up here because she is of Indian descent. Her parents had come over from India, and then her and her brother were born here. And then it's then her talking about her son, who was about 5 or 6 during the 2016 election, and then all the responses between her and her family, and then her husband, who is white and Jewish. They how his family reacts to the whole thing, and it's all these different perspectives, and it was so well done. It's a weird formatting, so it's like pictures, it's like the same picture, like almost repeated over and over, but then they'd have all the dialogue. So they don't really change expressions. They don't like change, but that certain age, that's what that person looked like, and they kind of keep it through it. It's a weird kind of graphic novel-ish, but I thought it was so well done. in what conversations, and the dialogue, I mean, again, it's all dialogue, so it's just, it was fantastic. And just the thought, I mean, well, there's a couple little parts where she's narrating, but I meant mostly it's just dialogue and the hard questions that her son asks her, and she tries to answer him, and then she feels like she's failing because it's so hard to explain that. And I thought this was really well done, and I thoroughly recommend this for anybody who wants a different perspective, if you know, or look for something that might be how you feel about things. And I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad I picked that up. Again, I just picked that up kind of on a whim when I saw it on that list, and I just thought I'd try it, and they had it at the library, so I got it. So I just said I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was kind of a surprise, really good book this week, or for this month. So I'm really glad I picked that up. And then a book that I just kind of flipped through because it was gorgeous is Millio Style, How We Live at Home with Books by Nina Vordienberger. I don't know if I said that right, but anyway, this book was gorgeous. Like, I saw this on, I saw it on Instagram, and I saw somebody had a copy of this, and I was like, oh, let me just get that from the library. And my library hadn't bought it at the time because it just came out last month. So I was like number 3 or something on the list. So I got the copy after somebody else had gotten it back. But the book is like gorgeous. It shows copies of places in their library collection. Like, I want that. There were just, most of them are either in the New York area, Paris, those are the major ones. There's a couple in the UK, and I think there was one in Rome or something too. But it's definitely book porn. I mean, it's gorgeous. I just loved looking at everybody's bookshelves. So I think there's like 50, I can't remember how many homes they go to. And again, there's some of these people were writers or illustrators that I had seen their work. I mean, Larry McMurtry's in here. He was I would say the most famous I knew of right off. But there's a couple people I've read. Oh, the Art Spiegelman, who does the Mouse, who illustrated Mouse and did that. So there's like a lot of good stuff in here. So there's 32 homes that they go into, and then they just show pictures of the whole house. It's just, and some people they're just stacks of books. And, you know, I have stacks of books right now because I need to reorganize my bookshelf. But these are like really stylishly done. I don't have that. Anyway, but they were very, it was a great, did I show the back? So it was a great book. Like I said, I didn't read all the stories of all the people in their books. I just wanted to flip through, and I read a little bit of everything, but I didn't like mark it as read or anything, but I just thought it was a gorgeous book. I don't need it, but that's why I got it for the library, but it was pretty nice. Anyway. So now I'm going to talk about the books that I'm kind of in the middle of, or I'm in the middle of. I am 146 pages into John Adams by David McCullough. I am listening to the audio book by Nelson Runger, I think is his name. Okay, so I've listened to a lot of David McCullough. I've listened to a couple of his already. Long time ago. Like, I actually listened to 1776 and he read it himself. Do not recommend that version. And that was the days before you could like speed up. It was anyway. I still have nightmares about that audiobook. It was a great book. Like, I still got a lot out of it, but it was like, the voice. Anyway, this one is much better, except it's so weird. I had to actually bump up my speed. I usually listen to 1.5 speed. I actually bumped it up to 1.75 or 1.75, and I almost want to go to 2 because the guy talks so slow. And he pauses. Like, there's like, how there's like page breaks and stuff, like where there's a space in the story. He pauses for like ever. Like even on 1.75. Anyway, but I'm making progress. I'm a little over 6 hours on this. I think this is like a 29-hour audiobook. So I'm making progress. I'm not, as I said, I'm 150, almost 100, 146 out of, I think it's 650. Yeah, about that. So I still got quite a ways. I got, you know, over 23 hours left of this. So I'm going to work on this steadily. I know I didn't start it in time to finish it in November. I'm so glad I picked up Eager that I can't really fault myself for doing that. But it is, again, it's one of the presidential ones I want to get to. And again, I only done 2 this year. So hopefully next year I can get through a couple more of what I want to do. But because I want to try to get some progress in this project of mine. And since I'm just starting from the beginning. But I'm really enjoying this. As I said, John Adams is definitely one of those characters that you like, you know, I know about it from TVs and movies and stuff. And especially I was thinking about the musical, I think 1776. Anyway, that's been flashing through my head. I don't know. It's bad, I know, but still. But I'm really enjoying the history of that, and I'm hoping, I mean, I'm going to get as much done this week, so I'll probably still have another week's, it'll probably be 2 more weeks before I finish that, at least. Probably more than that, because, you know, I'm only listening to it really when I drive, so we'll see. It matters if I drive myself down to my parents' for Thanksgiving, I might get a good lot done. But if weather's bad, then I have to go with my brother, because he's got the car with the all-wheel drive. Anyway, so then last night I started The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, and I finally found it at a library book sale this year. So I've decided I wanted to pick this up. And I know I'm reading a lot of stuff on death and stuff, but this is more grief. But I just feel maybe it's just the last couple of years have been kind of like, again, it's that whole getting older thing, and people I know have passed away in this last, last year and a half has been kind of hard for that on me. And so I guess I'm just looking to connect with books and things that help with my own processing of those things. So I just read about 26 pages of this last night, so I just started, so it's already hard and hard-hitting. And I've never read anything by Joan Didion, so this is my first. So I will have to see if I want to read some of her other stuff. But so far, again, her writing is beautiful and heartbreaking already. So we'll see that. So I'm hoping to get that done here in a couple days, you know. So anyway, I'm reading that. And then I have what I think this week I'm going to pick up. I have 2 books that are still on my TBR. So I've read all these books, of course, they're not on my TBR. I mean, John Adams is on my TBR, but I'm not going to make it. I only read 1 of them of the 4 books I put on my TBR. So I still have to go back and read Brunell, Lessees Dome by Ross King. I don't remember how to say that word. I don't know how to say that word. So I started this, and it was kind of, I just wasn't focusing very well. And I only made about 29 pages in. So it's really short. It's only like 160. So I'm really going to try to pick this up this week and try to get it done before the end of the month. Because I do want to read this. It was interesting. It's just I wasn't focusing. I don't remember why I couldn't sit there and focus. But I figure like every time I opened the book, I couldn't dive into it. I think I just need to set some time aside to read this. So I might wait till my days off on Friday and Saturday to read this. Because then I'll have more time to dedicate to it, and maybe I'll be able to get through it. So, but I still want to finish that. I still want to read it. If I don't get to it this week, then I'll get to it next week. And also, then my last book on my TBR that I have not started yet is Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell. I'm not sure how I'm going to get along with this. I mean, I read Animal Farm in 1984 in the last year, so I mean, I've read some of his fiction now. Not my favorite writer, but I wanted to read some of his nonfiction, and I'd picked this one up because again, has to do with poverty and being a writer and stuff. So I thought I'd check it out. So that's supposed to be another one on my TBR. So that's the one I want to pick up after The Year of Magical Thinking. So we'll see if I get to it. I don't know. So that is it. That's all the books. I had a lot this week, and I had a lot to say. Sorry about that, guys. But it was such a good week. Even though I was so busy at work, I would come home and I'd be reading these books that made me think, and I was like, wow, you know, like stuff you try to put aside and don't think about, but I really think that they're important. And what I love about nonfiction is just the fact that I can go like down a rabbit hole and start picking up books that I own. Again, I have brought a lot of library books home with me. So now all the library books are going back except I'm bringing home one today. But everything else is done that I could read or wanted to read. So I'm going to try to calm down on the library books for a little bit, but I got one more book coming, and then one is probably coming next week, and then I'm hoping I'm going to slow down on that too. Anyway, so I'm probably going to have a video up really soon talking about some of my, not my quite reading plans yet for next year, because that'll come later. But I do have kind of a talky video, or kind of chatty video about what I'm doing right now about my book buying, because yeah, I have some issues. And then I'll probably have a video up later this week for my December TBR, because for December for me is to clean off all the books that I've started this year that I haven't finished, that I still want to finish. So I've gone through my Goodreads and DNF'd, or got rid of all the, all the ones that I've considered DNFs or I'm not coming back to right now, and either returning them to my shelf or put them on the sell pile. And then I have at least 5 books that will be on my TBR, are books that I've started this year that I want to finish just before the end of December. So I will probably have that up later this week. So that is it for now. What are you guys reading? Are you guys reading anything good? Are you still enjoying Nonfiction November? Oh, I do want to mention that I picked this to read this week. Hopefully I'll read it this week, because this is, I'm reading it for Mel's Gone with the Book, because he wrote it in, is it 32? 33? 32, I think. So I'm kind of, or 33. I think it was published in 33. So, anyway, so that counts. So I'm just saying, I did have that book for that anyway. So, are you guys reading anything good? Let me know about it. And let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought. Because again, this week was definitely a week where I had a lot of really strong reactions to everything good and bad. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.